Hi, welcome to Film Fiend. My name is Seb, and today I'm reviewing Unremarkably Dull. Oh, sorry, that was a misread. Today I'm reviewing Remarkably Bright Creatures. So, your Nan's new favourite film just dropped on Netflix, which should have been the first red flag. I did not like this film at all. But before I get into the review, I have to say that obviously this film is just not for me, which is fine. And evidently it has resonated with some people, which is great because then it's not a complete waste. But as it's not my kind of thing, I normally wouldn't expend any effort writing about it, talking about it, or reviewing it. However, there is something important I want to say about this film, which I think needs to be said. A quick disclaimer first though, I haven't read the book, the best-selling book that this film is based on, but my partner, who's an avid reader, has, and so she has some thoughts on the disparities between the source material and the film, which I shall read on her behalf shortly. But that is the only reason I watched this film. We watched it together last night, and that was 110 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. Anyways, on with my main problem with this film. So after pressing play and quickly realising that it has that tacky, artificial, over-digitalised sheen that straight-to-Netflix films have these days, I wrote down in my notes, does Netflix use literally the same camera and cinematographer for every film? It's that look that makes everything feel fake, that makes even real humans look like they are CGI because of the lack of natural light and shadow. Anyway, I thought I would look up why this is. One quick Google search later, and I discovered that that is basically what they do. They do use the same cinematography for every film. Quote, Netflix has strict technical mandates for cinematography on its original productions to ensure high-quality 4K streaming, particularly regarding camera choices and resolution. These requirements focus on image fidelity rather than a mandated artistic style. Netflix requires high-definition 4K production standards using approved digital cameras to ensure clean images that compress well on all screens, prioritizing clarity and instant readability over artistic mood. Let me just repeat that last bit. Prioritizing clarity and instant readability over artistic mood. So that means that the tacky, inauthentic look is not just an occasional thing, it's actually mandated. That's outrageous. It means that Netflix does not care about the tone or mood of a film. They don't care about bolstering a film's tonality with the visuals. They don't care about doing what's right for the material. All Netflix cares about is the clarity of the content on all possible devices. And that's exactly what it's reduced these types of films to. Content. This is why all these Netflix films have that washed out, sterile, unnatural, overly bright look. Remarkably bright, you might say. This is totally shameful. It's anti-artistic and is emblematic of everything wrong with modern straight-to-streaming filmmaking. Any filmmaker who would work with Netflix and would compromise the vision of a film in order to appease their ridiculous technical mandates cannot be considered a true artist. The look of a film, of course, really matters, in general, but especially in a film like this where, unfortunately, I did not find the characters endearing or the plot compelling. But if it had a more grounded, realistic and tactile look, maybe it would have helped with the immersion and believability. And it could have possibly elevated what is a completely average and impenetrable story with one-dimensional characters. But in all likelihood it probably wouldn't have helped improve this film, but at least it would have made it look like a real film. Anyway, now I've got that egregious revelation out of the way, on to the review proper. Along with the superficial visuals that keep you at arm's length throughout, this film also suffers from being too saccharine for its own good. It lacks an edge and a bite that would have helped make the characters feel like more than one-dimensional cookie-cutter caricatures. It tries its hardest to be charming and moving, but lacks the depth needed to be truly effective. For me, it amounts to nothing more than shallow, schmaltzy, frivolous, Hallmark-style stuff that fails to strike a meaningful chord. There's a lot of old white woman wisdom that is ostensibly insightful, but ends up feeling pretentious and trivial. The characters feel watered down and made to be as palatable and inoffensive as possible, which I suppose is to be expected of a Netflix adaptation, And because of this lack of depth, when moments of emotional turmoil came, I struggled to find them moving or impactful. I found myself totally indifferent to everything that was going on, and by the 1 hour mark, I had completely checked out. To be fair, I did laugh a couple of times during the first half, and Sally Fields gives it her all, so it's not totally without merit, but overall I found it frustrating, unengaging, and inaccessible. And to be honest, I can't believe that at the time of this recording it has a 3.8 rating on Letterboxd right now, and people were saying that it was making them cry and they were really emotionally engaged in it. And I was just thinking, imagine if these same people watched The Impossible or Manchester by the Sea or The Light Between Oceans. I mean, they delete themselves after watching those films. Anyway, these types of straight to streaming films are just always so forgettable, and I don't think that even Netflix cares about them having any rewatchability. But with this film specifically, I don't blame the source material, I blame Netflix for a vapid and lackluster adaptation. And as I said before, I haven't read the book, so I have no way of comparing the two, but my partner has, so here's what she had to say about this film. The film adaptation of Remarkably Bright Creatures feels like an attempt to paraphrase a whole novel that you read several months ago. What feels charming and fraught with emotion is homogenized and churned together into a montage of telling the audience exactly how each character feels without making them likable, relatable, or even human at all. The screenplay is written with such a heavy hand it could possibly rival Thor's hammer, when in comparison the book's narrative success is balanced on the subtlety of complex characters, particularly how unlikable Cameron is, and in the slowly tearing away of layers and subsequently bringing them together primarily through the aperture of Marcellus's character. In the film, however, the central character of the giant Pacific octopus becomes instead part of the set, missing the point entirely. His interiority, and most importantly his curiosity about the humans he is most endeared with, is swept over, and could have been axed altogether without losing much in the way of plot, but in doing so would sacrifice the singular, unique plot point that this film adheres to. In the novel, Marcellus, Tova and Cameron's stories are mostly detached at the beginning, and a lot of time is spent in order to really flesh out the characters in a way that feels raw and authentic, but in the film the characterization feels rushed, rendering them nothing more than empty caricatures. What's made worse is the inability to integrate backstory in a compelling manner. By whitewashing certain elements, the filmmakers make it feel cringy and inauthentic. Marcellus says that Tova and Cameron have a hole in their heart, and their flashbacks attempt to show us this, yet the film's only incredible feat is to make Cameron's mother's OD seem like just another Tuesday, giving that important character moment nothing more than a cursory glance, therefore leaving absolutely no impact on the audience, and offering no real insight into Cameron's psyche. A fear for most book-to-film adaptations is staying true to plot and atmosphere. Whilst the film gets out the plot points through a warfare-like attitude of bombing them on the audience, it's made worse by the signature hallmark quality of the production that is unable to portray anything close to an average charming seaside town without it feeling like a montage of discarded Christmas film sets. If you want to choose between the adaptation or the text, choose the book and forget that this film has been made. So that was my review of Remarkably Bright Creatures. Thanks so much for watching. But before you go, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about my channel because I haven't done that yet. This is only my third ever video on YouTube, but I plan on being pretty prolific. I'm going to be reviewing all sorts, from new releases to golden oldies and random films from my collection. I had been thinking about starting a channel for a while and I was umming and ahhing about it, and then I just thought I may as well try it, otherwise I'm going to regret not giving it a go. So if you like what you heard, then maybe consider subscribing. I'm going to upload at least one video a week and I'll just see where this thing goes. So hopefully you'll come along for the ride with me. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.